Welcome, everyone. It is a pleasure to be working with all of you on this very, very important project. For the next 4 weeks, we are going to deliver for you some of the most important content that you will need, tools, proven methodologies, best practices to help you grow your business in this ever-changing world. It's called Project Elevate. And this important 4-part series is designed to help you re-engineer your business for value and profitability. You can see how rapidly radio communications is intersecting with the IT industry through the networking originally, and now, of course, into the cloud. There's a number of other factors that are impacting what your end user customers want to buy and what we aspire to do. Today, next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday is to give you the skills, give you the access, information, etc., to help you really elevate your business and your game while we have this kind of COVID pause in the world. Right now is the time to make these changes and improve yourself through enablement. And that's what we intend to do here at ACE. So let me just kick off real fast. I am a consultant for ACE, and many of you know me. I've been in the radio business working with Motorola for many years. I am the person more than 10 years ago who designed the program to train the Motorola channel managers on how to engage with all of you better. I certainly know Australia quite well. For those of you that have known me, I've been living in Singapore for 27 years, working in Australia much of that time in either in the IT industry or in the radio communications. So I'm a perfect fit to help coach you and be your resource to share with you what other dealers are doing around the world to upskill and elevate their business for the future. We won the STAR. We won the President's Award back in 2011. We continue to consult for Motorola on a global basis, and we do so in multiple languages. As you know, many of you know, we do a tremendous amount of work on business transformation. We help the largest dealers for IBM, Cloudera, Hewlett-Packard. We do their business transformation. We work with them just like we're working with you now. We've run over 200 engagements with dealer executives like yourselves to help them go through the process of transformation. And that's what ACE is investing in all of you right now. Our objective is to create a virtual education series to teach you how the industry is changing. When I was a dealer, like many of you know, for 6 years in Asia. And what I always wanted to know is I wanted to know what are other dealers doing that's working and not working. So that's a huge objective for us over the next 4 weeks, is to transfer that information to you. Best practices, as I mentioned, being able to learn from those people who are out there doing this. Ultimately, what we would like to do for you is not only increase your profitability, but to continue to make you relevant in the radio industry and be able to sell a full suite of radio, wireless, shall we say, instead of radio, we'll call it wireless communications technologies, because the radio is only one piece now in a much bigger recipe that end users are asking for. Another thing that I want to help you do, which I'm sure all of you are keen to do, is point number 2. How can you build an annuity streamed reoccurring revenue business on services to support your customers? This will COVID proof your business. If you're currently a business that's project based and your revenues come in very lumpy, if you can create kind of a reoccurring revenue stream of services that comes in monthly, this will really offset the lumpiness or the project-based aspect of your business. Ultimately, I think what I believe is happening is that the dealers, all of you are going to have to take steps from being a traditional analog transactional radio dealer to becoming what we call an adopt dealer. And I'll show you more about that. Maybe it could be, well, no, I'll get to that in just a minute. But you're going to need to go from where you're at to what we call adopt, which is, attaching services, selling digital, into what we call transform, being able to have the capabilities from an IT and radio communications perspective to help the environment where your radios are residing, to optimize that environment, and then ultimately to become almost like a system integrator or a managed service provider. So let's look at what we're going to cover today. Webinar 1 is all about customer intimacy, and how do we maintain that intimacy in a remote working environment. Secondly, we're going to talk about what does it mean to sell value? How do you sell in today's environment? And how do we change the conversations? Many times the authorization levels for budget are going higher. How can we do that and stay relevant? And then finally, the most popular topic by far, social selling. How do we build a personal brand and become a thought leader in order to influence end users, get access to people that we wouldn't have access to before, and also be able to share information that will help you be a valuable contact for many people and ultimately shorten your sales cycle. Okay, so these are the 3 topics we're covering today in the new normal. Next week, we are going to teach you about how other dealers in the world have become what we call adopt dealers, being able to really move to a solution, a digital solution, broadening the technologies available in that solution. Next, optimize, as I mentioned, how can your company be able to take a position in your end user customers where you can optimize the environment. That environment is very lucrative. This is an incredible business opportunity for you because right now, where radio communications and IT are intersecting, it's currently uncovered. There is an opportunity for you to provide services there. If you don't, their IT service providers are going to come into that space. They're going to get closer to the radio space and potentially push you out. So we want to give you, all the skills and understanding in that optimized space where you can bring more value and broaden your footprint, both from a service and product perspective. And then finally, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, transformation. How can you build your capabilities in your team to have a seat at the table with the senior executives related to digital transformation and being able to optimize their radio and IT environments. We're using Zoom. As you can see, we're going to use polling today and other types of tools to make this session interactive. We don't want it to be one way. It's no fun for me and it's no fun for you. So the content has all been localized. As many of you know, I have been working with ACE on a contact basis for more than a year now and have sent out many things to you or been involved in many videos, etc. So we really understand your environment. We understand the opportunity, and our job at ACE as a value-added distributor is to help you take advantage of that. And many times when I was a dealer, I could see the opportunity, but I didn't know how. So we're going to teach you the how. How do you go from where you are now to a better business, one that is relevant, profitable, and growing in the future? Okay? So this is called Project Elevate. There are 4 there are 4 webinars in this series. This series is the beginning of the program. We call it Tuesday Training, and it's going to go for 4 weeks. In the new year, we have new topics for you related to products, exciting information about new Motorola products and acquisitions that they're making and the opportunities that they present. So as we move forward, there's going to be various topics for you, from business strategy, which is what we're talking about the next 4 weeks, to product, etc. So we're going to continually provide this information for you and this training for you so you can re-engineer your business. So let's look at, why are we having this conversation? Why can't it just stay the same, Greg? We've been doing this radio business for 30 years or more in Australia. We've always been profitable. The business has always been pretty good to us. Why do we have to change? The change that's occurring, everyone, is market driven, and you're being forced to react to that. So as all of you know, if you think about the journey technologically that we've taken together, started with analog, right? Some of you are still working in the analog world, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you've got customers that need analog, we want you to provide that to them. However, we also want you to expand your offerings and capabilities into digital, because there's obviously a huge opportunity there, and you can see the benefits of that as the digital transformation continues to take effect in the world. Being in Australia, Australia is a modern IT country, and it's going to continue to progress forward in that regard. So that is market driven. It's up to you as a business owner to react to it. IP. Now, in the last few years, we've seen, and this is where the intersection between radio and networking occurs. Many of you are calling us at ACE. Many of you are speaking with Grant and asking for help to design solutions that have gone beyond your capabilities into the IP, the networking, the IT space. And that's no problem. Our job is to support you and to help you bring more value to your customers. But at the same time, we want you to continually to educate yourself and hire new people that will help you open up the opportunities that are in this space. Our concern is that if you don't take that space, the IT provider is going to come in and take that space, making your world smaller. That space exists now. Our job is together to build the capabilities to go there, bring that value, and maximize your profitability. Cloud. We all see cloud coming, right? It's here. It's already here. It's in the form at Motorola, in the form of Wave. Motorola is continuing to acquire more and more companies to broaden the portfolio of wireless communications technologies. And when I talk, I'm going to show you a slide on it. You're going to be very surprised at the breadth of opportunities and products that you have to sell. So in our series, we want you to go from being a radio provider. We want you to drive business outcomes for your customers. And if you can drive business outcomes, you're going to be selling more value. Your deal size is going to get bigger. Your blended gross profit is going to be greater, and you will be embedded in those accounts on a subscription, annuity-based engagement. Okay, and this is sticky. This is good, and our job is to show you how to get there. So webinar 1 today is new normal. Next Tuesday, adoption. Next Tuesday, optimization, and then the final Tuesday, transformation. Here's another way at looking at where you may be, kind of bringing value to your customers, right? So remember, the journey was adopt, optimize, transform. So, if you're kind of, competing on price and still kind of selling radios and not selling solutions, you would probably be in the lower left-hand quadrant of this model. If you're starting to, broaden the solution, increase your deal size, engage and sell services, investing in competencies and people to bring more IT and networking and radio capabilities to your customers, you're probably getting into the optimize space. And then finally, transform. Don't worry about transform right now. This is the holy grail. This is where we're trying to get at ACE. So we're not there either. But we all know this is where we have to go. All of us are in this journey together to the upper right-hand corner of the quadrant where we can be true business partners, fully engaged and sticky with our customers. Now, what is driving this? Well, part of what is driving it is not only is it market driven, but our key partner Motorola is redefining what the wireless communications solution will be in the future. Think about all the other radio manufacturers. No one is on their front foot the way Motorola is to redefine what the solution looks like. So here you can see, all the way from Mototurbo, which all of you are very familiar with, to unified communications, Wave. We had our Wave launch, as you know, in February, March. Incident response software and technologies, broad range of them. Analytics. Today we're going to talk a little bit about video analytics around Avigilon. Incredible opportunity. Think about it. Not very long ago you were just thinking about radios and radio onlys, and now in your environment, and the radio was the core to the solution. Now the radio is moving to the fringes of a security solution. At the core are things like CCTV and big data analytics, artificial intelligence around technology that can look at an image on the roof of a building at 2:30 in the morning and send out an alert saying, I don't think it makes sense that somebody is on the roof at 2:30 in the morning. This isn't right. And somebody needs to respond. So proactive response and engagement. And then the move finally, the integration, this is essentially becomes almost a managed service that you can provide to your end users. So again, we don't want to scare you away, but we definitely want to show you the range of business opportunities that you have. Now, how should you think about this? Remember, always build your strategy backwards from the customers that you serve disproportionately. If your customers don't need video analytics because they are providing radios to the locomotive industry maybe, and they have no need for video analytics, then don't try to sell video analytics. If you are primarily focused on the locomotives and the train business around Australia, you have to think backwards from what do they need next. And those are the pieces. Those are the ingredients that you would take from the slide in front of you. Remember, your business strategy is always built backwards from the customers you serve. My experience working with Motorola dealers is that you sell to the same customers 88% of the time. Think about that. Think about whether or not that is correct. If that is correct, and you do tend to sell to the same people over and over, you should be listening to this webinar series and asking yourself, okay, I sell to these companies almost all the time. I need to go and have a coffee with them and find out what they need tomorrow. And then if you can't provide what they need tomorrow, they're going to go to another provider. You need to find out what your existing disproportionate customers that you sell to all the time, you have to find out what they need tomorrow so that you can get those ingredients and deliver that to them and protect and keep those customers. That's how you're going to be thinking about your business strategy over the next 4 Tuesdays, okay? So don't look at this previous slide and go, oh no, I have to invest in all these things. I have to learn bridging, geofencing, indoor location, lone worker, no, you don't. You build your solution, tomorrow's solution, backwards from your existing customers' needs tomorrow, okay? So be listening to me from that context. So here's a slide that was provided by Motorola, in fact, and we've worked with their channel partners as well, to help them understand what needs, what types of transformation they need to go through in order to move themselves up the value chain as well. And this is a slide from Motorola looking at, from the central part here, these three white boxes, the traditional LMR to a system integrator to what they call a strategic integrator. And again, that would be transformed. That's the holy grail. That's a long way off, but it's important that we show you the journey. And as long as you know the journey, you are intelligent people, been in the business a long time. And then if we can just show you the journey, we know that you'll be able then to figure out a way forward. So, I think ultimately at ACE, we want to take the responsibility and to take the role of helping you become what we call a strategic integrator, okay? And again, this is beyond a systems integrator. So this is kind of a light, that we want to set out there for you, because we know that if we can help you on a step-by-step basis, evolve your skills, it's going to make you a much, much better company in the long run and more profitable. So for the new normal, let's talk about this. What do we know right now? Well, one thing that we know is that we're not going to go back to normal for a while. There's still, in-state only travel in Australia. You can't go between states. I mean, there may be some exceptions I'm unaware of, but generally speaking, we're still in a phase where, even in Singapore, where we've made great progress. We have things under control, but we're very cautious and not sure what's going to kind of happen next. So we're working, we're maintaining our business. Life is about as normal as it can be in places like WA, Brisbane, and other places. But then there's other places that are more challenging. And so we know that it's not going to be normal. It's not going to be a V-shaped recovery. It's going to be step by step, phase by phase. Now, another thing that we know for sure is that you need to be able to very carefully select the right companies to target your sales efforts at, because you need to be able to figure out which companies have the least damage from COVID, and you would prioritize your sales efforts into those companies. And then finally, also you need to build, and I'm sure you've already thought about this. Of course, none of us thought this was going to last this long. But also, I think you should be thinking about, what is your strategy? Now that we see, the extent of how this thing is happening, what's the strategy? This is, a good time to do this in order to get ready for the new calendar year and build that strategy for how you're going to execute over the next 12 months. In today's webinar, I'm going to give you a lot of tools to build that strategy. So first, let's talk about customer intimacy, okay? So, living in Singapore, one thing that, we learned from SARS is that you have to hug your customers, hug them. You have to hug your partners like ACE. ACE is hugging their dealers. That's what we're doing right now for the next 3 Tuesdays. We're hugging our dealer network. We're trying to make sure that you feel as if we are supporting you. We're helping you grow. We're helping you remain relevant. You need to do the same thing for your customers as well. And I think that we, are planning to do this for the foreseeable future, certainly 2021. Working from home, there's still many, look at Victoria, from what I understand and from what we experience in Singapore, is that when people got an opportunity to work from home, where there's both the husband and the wife are working, and if they have small kids, maybe 4 years old and 2 years old, it's much better to work from home if that's an option, because maybe they don't have daycare expenses. Maybe they don't have to ask their parents to help watch the kids. Maybe they're more effective when they're working from home because there's a 45-minute commute there to work and back. You save money on lunch. There's all kinds of reasons why people are going to continue to work from home. It might be difficult for you to talk face-to-face to the buyer or see the buyer. If the buyer's working from home, you can't go to their home. You can't call them because unless you know their mobile number. Previously before COVID, we could call the switchboard at the company and we could ask for that person. Well, that's not an option anymore. So working from home and being effective from home is definitely something that we're all going to have to work with, and we need to figure out the strategies for doing that. So today I'd like to share with you, now that it's been 6 months, share with you, 4 strategies that we have found to be very effective. These are best practices from talking to dealers all over the world. And what I find, everyone, is that we go through cycles of how we are working now. I know many of you may not be. In Brisbane, for example, here at ACE, the people aren't working from home. Everyone's in the office. But if you are working from home, think about what are your goals for that day and what do you want to achieve and how are you going to achieve them. Secondly, what tools do you need going forward in order to engage with your customers and engage with ACE? If you need support from ACE, maybe it's better now to use Zoom, now that we realize that we can, if the product is faulty, we can actually show it on the screen and say, look, this is the error message I'm getting. So the chances are you can use better tools than you used before. Later today, we're going to talk about social selling and the importance of social selling. YouTube, you'll notice we're really leveraging YouTube. On YouTube, everyone, please go to YouTube and bookmark ACE Communications. There are lots of training videos there for you now. And so that's a new tool the last year that we've been using in order to which goes to point number 3, enabling our dealer network. For you, enablement would be, educating your end users about different technologies. You can go to our YouTube channel and copy a link and share that link with your customer to help enable them and train them on new technologies and why you can do so. So I think that, maintaining that customer intimacy, that was more from a working perspective, depending on your state, because I know states, there's different situations currently as it relates to how you work. Now let's talk about who you target and who do you sell to. Customer intimacy, as we define it, is, where do we spend our time? Whether it's a remote engagement or it's a face-to-face engagement, how do you define the target accounts? Because if you define the target accounts incorrectly and you go to accounts that have been damaged by COVID, that have no money to invest at this time, or communications is not a priority, that is what we call an opportunity cost. That is time that you could have spent selling to another company who has a higher propensity to buy. So that's what the slides right now are about. We want to try to help you define the top 10 customers that you want to go after, and then think backwards and build the strategy backwards. First, we think about what's your connection to the market? Who do you sell to disproportionately, right? Now, look at, take the time to think about this, everyone, and think about what has the damage been to that market segment. If the segment that you serve disproportionately has been damaged badly, you need to then go to the second priority market and start selling there. Now, that's going to be harder because it's not within the 88% that you sell to all the time. You may need new skill sets. You need to speak a different radio communications type language. So think about, what is your addressable market? Which ones have had the least damage from COVID, okay? What segments? Start macro and go to micro. Market segments, so we're going from 10,000 meters to 1,000 meters. What are the companies within those segments, right? And then who within those segments? We are finding, everyone, and this may not be as bad in Australia as it is in other parts of the world, but we're finding that companies are being very cautious now, and the budget authorization levels have gone higher. So the people that you were selling to before may not be the decision makers anymore and have budget. So that is the who within the company that has power and money. Next, uncovering their needs, trying to understand what is the top business issues right now that they're trying to address. Obviously, you would want to be in one of those top business issues because there's a higher probability that you can get investment. And then, of course, empathy, being able to, at a human level, step back. And before we start talking about comms, we really, in my opinion, need to ask them at a human level, how are you doing? There's a lot of people that have been impacted directly or indirectly. So I think from an intimacy perspective, you have an opportunity to differentiate yourself as an empathetic, caring person. So I think that's where the conversation starts. So we start, again, remember, we start macro, we go to micro. What are the market segments? What are the companies? Who within the account? How are you doing? And then we build the situation, build the discussion and the opportunity from there. Okay, that's the concept. Now let me show you the graphical representation. Now to do this, I know that in radio, we go to market from a vertical perspective. So what I've done here is I've just chosen, let's see, 8 different market verticals, okay? So if you're in New South Wales, this may be the high potential market segments in the state, okay? So in this example, again, this is just an example of 8 high potential market segments in the state of New South Wales. The question becomes, how do I find the companies that have the highest propensity to buy that I can bring value to? So again, remember, macro, okay, so we're at New South Wales now. Now let's go, what are the top 4 out of the 8? It's going to be aerospace, robotics, healthcare, consumer products. I go from 4, now I'm going down to 2, now I'm going down to the account level, okay? So I've gone from the state of New South Wales down to specific account names in Australia, in healthcare, in consumer products. Now, I know these people don't buy comms probably from you, but I'm just trying to give you a concrete example of names that you would recognize, market segments that you would recognize. And again, this is a tool so that you can then do the same thing on your own. Okay? Good. So I just want to pause there and let you digest. Again, customer intimacy. How are we going to get intimate with the accounts that have the highest propensity to buy? And we're looking at it in 2 ways. Number 1, how am I going to sell, basically engage with them? Is it going to be work from home? Is it going to be on Zoom? Is it like before COVID if you're in WA maybe, or Brisbane in certain places? Or do I need different tools? Then the second aspect is, who are the specific accounts? Okay, great. So let's do a poll. And we would like to poll you and ask you a question. It's a yes or no question. Have you put this level of thought, strategic thought, into your business strategy post-COVID? Okay, so just select yes or no. And your answers are anonymous, by the way. We don't know how people vote. So select yes or no. Just curious to see if you've been very strategic in where you're going to spend your selling time going forward. Now, one thing I can see is the percentage of votes. I'm currently at 54%. So if I could have a couple more votes, that gives me a more statistically relevant sample size, so to speak. And if I could get one more, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. All right, so it looks like 2/3 of you have been, thinking very strategically about where do we sell, who can buy first, and 1/3 of you haven't started to think about it. So for those 1/3 of you that haven't thought that way yet, maybe you've gotten some good ideas here for how you can, again, build your go-to-market strategy backwards from the accounts that have the highest propensity to buy. This will stop any bleeding financially that you may be having and get you transacting and active again financially and doing as well as you can do. So we don't have time to do physical exercises where we actually pause, because this is only, a 60-minute session for you. But what I call a mental exercise takeaway, if you could make note of this, after today's webinar, is who are the top 10 accounts, that you will target for prospecting, and what are their, potential business issues or recovery priorities that you could address. And here's what it may look like on a table if you were to create it. So those are the 3 healthcare companies I talked about. Those are the 3 consumer products. And then in the second column, it's really about, this is the reason why you've selected them, right? For some reason, you think that Baxter, could be sold to right now. So here's where you would list those reasons, okay? And then later you can see how specifically, what's the radio comms communication solution. That's the column 3, how I can help. What would I propose? What would be the next step? Okay. So we've talked about it from a content PowerPoint perspective. Then we did a graphical representation. Then we put it into a table for you to make sure you have a better understanding. Selling. Let's talk about selling. I've just got 20 minutes now. I think selling's different, everyone. I don't think, and for those of you that know me, I'm the most optimistic person you'll ever meet in your whole life, but I don't think that it's going to go back to normal the way that it used to be. Companies are going to rethink their travel and expense policy. They're going to rethink how much money they spend on events. They're going to rethink their office design, their office policy, because COVID is a virus. It's not going to go away. We might have a vaccine, but that doesn't stop the virus. That just reduces the deaths or, somehow makes it better once we get it. Ultimately, it's a virus that we cannot get rid of. So your selling is, in the way I say it, you need to bring your A game to selling now. And you're going to have to really have substantial value and return on investments and change the conversation to connect your proposal to a current business issue that they're trying to address. Previously, before COVID, the economy has been so good in Australia for so long that all of us didn't have to sell that well. Companies were making money as long as we were professional, we had a decent brand, and we had relationship, we could get deals. And I think that going forward, you're going to have to, raise and elevate your sales game, change the conversation, ask more questions, and try to start conversations related to their business strategy. And what support do they need first in order to return to revenue? What are their current urgent comms needs to help them recover or protect their business or protect their workers, right, from a health and safety perspective? So these are the different types of conversations. Also questioning. A lot of times, we've gotten away from selling 101. Selling 101, the best salespeople are the people that just keep asking question after question after question. And that's the talking that should occur by a salesperson, not the talking about my features and why you should buy my product, why my price is so good. The talking from a salesperson, we have one mouth, we have 2 ears. So this thing should be asking questions. These 2 things should be listening so that we can come up with and have better information to position and sell our value proposition. Metrics, we call these metrics. What types of concrete value and outcomes will the investment drive? So today, your conversations, I think you're going to need to start including, quantifications of the return on investment, things such as increased revenue, payback periods, reduction in cost, lower health and safety risk. All these things I think are going to need to not only be pointed out in your proposal, but also discussed and quantified. Sometimes to do that, everyone, we use what's called a solution stack. So I just wanted to show you a new tool here. And a solution stack, if you recall what I said, at the macro level, first define your high potential market segments. So it could be logistics, events, and mining, okay? So for logistics, there's going to be a certain solution stack. They have certain needs. What did I say? Events. Events, typically these are rental type situations, right? One-off, project-based. They're going to need a different type of a solution stack. And then mining, their needs are much different than events and logistics. So we call these solution stacks. And I would encourage you to not think transactionally. Think from a solution perspective. Build a solution stack for the segments that you address. And it does two things that are very valuable for you. Number one, it will drive a business outcome for the end user because it's a solution and not just a transaction. Number two, you can see in the bottom middle, solution stacks will maximize your blended gross profit. And that is your key financial metric. By proposing a solution that has services attached, excuse me, you can maximize not only your blended gross profit, but increase your deal size. Okay, so solution stacks can be a very important point. And here in this example, you see I'm using an Avigilon solution stack. And I'm doing that just to bring the word Avigilon up and make you familiar with it and kind of get away from radio. And that's part of the value of Tuesday training. We want to introduce new words and context for you and areas that you may be unaware of and new product names, etc., to put all this into the pot and start thinking about it as you cook up your business strategy for 2021. Okay. Mental exercise number two, what is the potential opportunity? So in mental exercise number one, we said, what are the top 10 accounts? Now we're saying, what do you think they need? Okay. So as you can see, all I've done is I've taken the previous table and I'm just building from left to right. Okay. So this is a really simple table to build. You can build it on your own. If not, send us an email at ACE. We'll be more than happy to send you this table. And if you don't know how to build it, it's very simple to do. Second polling question that we have for you. Are your proposals currently connected to end user recovery priorities? Just curious to see if you've started to take your selling to that level and see if you're starting to sell harder. If you're not, it's okay, because that's why we're having Tuesday training. We're trying to help you learn what other dealers are doing and how they're selling. The most profitable dealers, the ones with the least financial damage, all of them are connecting their proposed investment directly to a business priority inside the end user to somehow recover their business. So if I could get one more response, that would be fantastic. That would get my sample size just one step higher. Thank you very much for that. And as you can see, it looks like 40% of you are connecting your proposed investment directly to a business issue or priority that your customers have. Now, to do that, everyone, this is only achieved through deep questioning at high levels in the organization. That's the only way you can do it. So for those of you, the 60% who are not currently doing that, hopefully now you've learned that that's what other dealers are doing. Hopefully you also realize that maybe now's the time to start being better at questioning in the way that you sell, and also calling higher to find out what are the business priorities. Try to get a seat at the table with the senior people in order to help them and engage them as a trusted business advisor or consultant. Social selling. Now I realize I had to blow past my Q&A, so I'm going to save extra time at the end. always when we do our first webinar, there's a lot of introductions to say who we are, what is the program about, how we're going to do it. So we'll certainly have more time in next Tuesday and the following series for more open conversation. Social selling, this is one of the most popular topics that we have now. And social selling is important because there's no interstate travel. So, if you're a national salesperson and you're sitting in Brisbane, how are you going to influence somebody in Melbourne, right? How are you going to influence decision makers and drive business in WA? And it's going to be through social selling. So I just wanted to talk with you very briefly about social selling. And if you want more information, I can certainly provide more. But this is, I'm telling you, one of the by far the most popular topics globally right now. And this is the new normal. This is how you are going to sell going forward. And you're going to need to leverage various tools to do it. So what is social selling? First of all, social selling is not only LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one tool, but it also includes others. And it is soft. It's personal, and it's about engaging. Okay? That's what it's about. People buy from people. So you have a unique opportunity. We all have a unique opportunity right now to build a strong personal brand. Because why? We're not sitting in traffic like we used to and wasting time. We're not sitting at the airport wasting time. We don't have delayed flights. There's a lot of things that we're not doing now, and we have an hour each day to start investing in our personal brand. It's an investment that you will draw returns from for the foreseeable future. So now is the time to do it. People are looking at you right now, whether or not you know it or not. There's over 600 million people right now on LinkedIn. The vast majority of them are from IT and communications. So they're looking at you, trust me, and they're drawing an opinion about you right now, either rightly or wrongly based on what your profile looks like. So what can you do? Definitely start keyboarding, okay? And update your profile and make sure it's an effective profile. Connect with the people that matter. That should be built backwards from your top accounts that you want to target. You want to connect with your partners like ACE, okay? Whoever you partner with on business, whoever you sell to, that's what I call your world. You're going to want to be connected to that world and influence that world, okay? How do these platforms work? They work through algorithms, everyone, and they track the effectiveness of your messaging and the extent to which you're influencing people and building brand. Now, these are based on the latest research in human psychology, brand building, etc. Don't feel cynical about what LinkedIn is doing by trying to get you to engage. Of course, LinkedIn and Facebook want you on their platform, but don't take that view of it. Don't take a cynical view around the professional side of the platform. You can look at that Facebook that way because that's more personal. But from a professional perspective, this is a tool that's free that you can leverage. So if in fact that's their nature, let them do that because you're leveraging it for free. You're getting that research. Key elements, giving away valuable information, okay? So thinking about who is it that you're connected to, how can you give them information that's free, that's insightful, such that they go, wow, that was good. I'm glad that I saw that. So there's a ratio in social selling, and I just want to share this with you now because I want you to know it's scientific. It's not as easy as just posting every day. There's something called a golden rule. The golden rule is that each week you should have 4 posts based on your profession. So if we're talking about Kevin Kyler from the managing director of ACE, he would post 4 posts related to wireless communications technologies, because that's his business, right? That's what ACE does. They distribute cutting edge technology. And then 1 would be a soft sell. Join a webinar, join our Tuesday training. and upskill yourself for the future so you can make more money and be more relevant. And then the final one is posting something personal. I would encourage you to connect with me, look at my LinkedIn profile. And I'm telling you that because we have another company that runs it. Many times it's not me behind it. It is now, but from November of last year until May, I was responsible for developing the content, but I actually wasn't running my own account. So I want you to look at my account because it is a benchmark for you, and you'll be able to see how to do what you need to do in order to be effective. Cold calling is dead, and the reason it's dead is because it's cold. So I think those days are over, especially when you have the opportunity to do it warm by sharing information, assuming those people are on LinkedIn, etc. Okay? Now, I also understand Australian culture very well, and I do know that relationships matter. Getting together for a beer or food or whatever, or sport is also part of your equation. So I'm not saying you only do social selling. I'm saying add this to the way that you build relationships. And ideally, you're trying to create chemistry, right? In a remote way. Now, the most important thing about your social selling strategy, everyone, you need to be connected to the right people. The people that are active on LinkedIn and use video so that you can get your personality across, right? And make sure that you're engaging. Don't watch, engage, share information, be an influencer, make it a part of your everyday routine. So another mental exercise. I'd like you to think about, what do you need to accelerate your social selling effectiveness? And here's some things you can think about. Who are the accounts that you're going to target? What content's relevant to them? Actively update your social selling network and information that you put out and share, etc., and try to get warm. Okay? So, polling question. Do you have, when you think about everything that I've just said, do you currently have the right connections to grow your influence and to grow your social selling effectiveness? If you could give us your feedback on this, that would be great. This is a big part of being effective, for sure, is being able to have connections to the people that matter. If you think about it, if you're doing good work and you're out there sharing a lot of information and doing a good job, but you're not connected to the right people, you're kind of spinning your tires. So this is very good. 2/3 of you are connected to the right people. I would encourage you to continually build that. And then for the 1/3 of you, hopefully I've given you some ideas, on how you can build a social selling strategy. Remember, your connections are going to come from the people who going to come from the people that you want to influence, the people that are in your so-called world. So Katie, if you could take everyone off of mute now and give everyone an opportunity if they'd like to ask a question or provide any feedback, that would be great. You're currently on mute, Katie.
So everyone should be able to chat and unmute themselves if they would like to ask any questions or give any feedback.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, feel free if you have any questions, comments, let us know. Was this helpful? This is our first of 4 Tuesday trainings, and maybe you can provide some feedback. If you don't want to speak, you can provide it in the chat box. Otherwise,
Hi, Greg. Thanks for everything. Greg, if there's anybody out there who thinks that any of this is overwhelming or they're incapable of doing something, this is where we come in, and speak to us and see if there's anything we can help you with. If it's designing a system or putting a bill of materials together, and this is where the problem comes in. People just simply don't realize what we're capable of doing here, and you've really helped us to to convey this message. So yeah, please, if there's anybody out there and you're unsure, just reach out and find out. If you don't think we can do it, ask anyway. You know, if we can't do it, we're going to tell you we can't help you. But if we can help you get a deal, then we both win.
That's right. As all of you know, ACE prides themselves in being a value-added distributor. They're not a distributor. We are a value-added distributor. We have some of the best radio people in the industry. Last year, Grant Sleep was awarded the Technical Excellence Award in Australia and New Zealand for Motorola. This is a very, very high and serious award. So as Kevin mentioned, please contact us. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it. Okay, I just want to be conscious of time. Just a second, I'll check the chat box real quick. See if there's anything here. Okay, all right, no questions so far. Great, I'll just go to the last polling question. This is very important for all of us, everyone. We have designed currently 4 webinars for you for the Tuesday training. Now, next week, we're going to adopt and we're going to start talking about the possible services that you can attach and the solutions that you can sell. So each week, we're going to give you more and more information about the opportunity that's in front of you to transform and adapt and grow your business. And like I said, deliver more and more business value and business outcomes for your customers. So last polling question here before we let you go is, has this module on the new normal helped you? Has this module on the new normal improved your understanding of how to adapt your engagement and business strategy? Okay. Could I have a few more answers? I just want to get to the highest possible. All right. Fantastic. Looks like we've been able to help 83% of you. That's great. And that's good. And I think you're going to find even more value next Tuesday as we start to elevate the conversation and the content. For those of you that there's a few of you, it looks like just one of you that had mentioned that it hasn't improved that much. Feel free to give me a call even, and let me try and find out how I can take the contents of this webinar 1, and I'm more than happy to have a personal conversation with you. Just put a message there in the chat box. I'll give you a ring and try to help you out and make sure that we're answering all your questions. But thank you, everyone. It's been a real good session. As I mentioned, next Tuesday, we will be delivering webinar number 2 called Adopt at the same time. I'd like to remind all of you that there is an Empower program that is absolutely upside for you. Every Motorola radio that you sell, you can gain points from this year. So please contact our sales team if you'd like to be a part of this program. As you can see here, I won't read each one of these, but over 13,000 points have been awarded already. You do not need to provide any customer information. We just want to make sure that you're getting more from what you are currently doing with us compared to last year. Please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. It's Greg Eckstein. And then there will be a recording of today for if you have colleagues that would like to listen to it, etc. We are your resource here at ACE. Please don't hesitate to contact us, and let's grow our business together. And with that, Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. Looking forward to next week, and looking forward to the phones ringing off their hook for the next few days.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see we've got dealers from all over the place. So thank you very much for taking the time out to join us.
Thank you, everyone. Let me just check the chat box and see if there's any questions here. Okay. Yep. No questions here. Looks like we're done.
Oh, there is one there, Greg. There is one. from Jim. I can't find you on LinkedIn. You don't have to worry about me asking questions. I'm always asking dumb questions. No, Jim, not you. You never ask dumb questions.
You know what? I'm surprised that there's 32 Greg Ecksteins. I thought I was the only one in the world.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the feedback, Nick.